will say the silence is real weird if you're like watching it back.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah. Like we might need to figure out.
Nope, I love this.
Nope, I don't got that in me. Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's live chat. It is April the 13th, 2025. We had planned for tonight to be kind of bookish PowerPoint, making some recs. And at the time, we were a little worried about, at the time of scheduling, that is, we were worried about having enough PowerPoints to fill the whole hour. But there are 4 of us, and we all have PowerPoints. So we'll see how quickly we go through them. And depending on how it's going, we'll probably do some word sprints as needed. I don't want to go too far over because tonight is Last of Us night. And I'm very excited. So hi, everyone. Let us know how you're doing this week. How are things going? How are you feeling?
Also, feel free to enthusiastically bombard us with your recommendations for stuff in the comments.
Please. We're going to start with Kelly.
Kelly has to remember how to screen share.
Every time.
Too.
Every freaking time. I have to screen share on StreamYard.
So, this may come as a shock to some people, but I'm going to be talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl.
What?
This is a series I've been reading pretty obsessively for a few months now, and even though the books, I'm not even caught up yet, and I've been reading this a lot, which is, I don't know, a big part I think of why I'm so into it, of like there's so much content available. So now I'm going to talk at you a little bit because I think I mentioned this last week, but it had been starting to feel to me like this series was getting some of that like Harry Potter energy of just like, not just the excitement I was feeling about it, but like the level of being able to get lost in the series. And this is something I've been searching for a very long time. I don't think I'm the only one who has just been chasing that Harry Potter high for so much of my like reading career. Let's see if I remember how to move slides along. There we go. So a couple disclaimers. Because Dungeon Crawler Carl is not going to be something that works for absolutely everybody. It is a weird book or series of books. I understand that as a concept, lit RPG, like books set around working like a video game is not for everybody, especially if you have like no video game background and understand how any of this works. It's hard to jump into. The humor of Dungeon Crawler Carl is also not for everybody. It is, at times, it can definitely be very like 14-year-old boy humor. Just not my kind of humor, but these books have made me laugh more than anything else at the same time. So sometimes like, oh, that's dumb. But also, other times it's also pretty great. Also, possibly the best audiobook experience I have ever had. Especially considering it's just like one guy narrating a very big universe of weird characters and also a video game UI. A+. So as a series, it's kind of the humor and premise of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The Earth is essentially being repoed by alien overlords and mined for minerals, and humanity is just going to be evicted, and whoever kind of survives the initial crunch of the world gets the opportunity to go into this dungeon, which is also like the galaxy's most popular reality TV show, which brings it into the feeling like the stakes and themes of the Hunger Games. Take that as you will. I'm trying not to be too spoilery, but also give a bit of like what makes this fun. And yeah, it's built on a framework that feels the way Harry Potter used to feel once upon a time, of just like the ever-expanding books and the universe of like that first book of like, oh, this is so much fun. And by the last book, and the series isn't actually even done yet, there's just like so much to sink your teeth into as like a reader and a fandom. So yeah, book 1 introduces everything into like, you're going into this dungeon, you're kind of just in a video game world. You get to see a little bit of like, oh, this video game is a TV show that everyone is watching, and the characters get to see like how popular they are. And then eventually as the series goes on, you get to see like, hey, maybe not everyone loves just murdering an entire planet worth of people. And some people are like, this is a bad and terrible idea. But there's also a lot of that like Panem. Some people are just having a lot of fun watching people get murdered. Other people suck less. For me, the secondary characters are a big part of why this series is a lot of fun. No context, but that's Big Tina. And she was one of the first where I'm like reading the book. I'm like, I need to look up fan art of has somebody figured out what this character looks like. And the author had posted this on Reddit at one point. Like, hard to beat that, but because like the main Carl is in the dungeon. He's with his ex-girlfriend's cat, Donut. They're like the main two, and they're the only ones you'll see like super consistently. But other people are kind of coming in and out of their lives, both in the dungeon as other humans, and then like they're going on talk shows and there's conventions and stuff. And again, really hard not. I'm like 6.5 books in at this point, so it's really hard not to give anything away because I don't know what is beyond just like basic. Another thing that made me feel a lot like this was Harry Potter was in the video game structure of the dungeon. There's a lot of like skills and spells that to me are also like a lot more interesting than the Harry Potter ones, but they feel a lot like that. Like Donut the cat can cast a hole spell, which is just like making a hole in things. But as she levels up the spell, the hole gets bigger. So you get to see like more and more interesting things that this cat can do, just making a hole in the wall or the floor or whatever. She can also like cast, make like triples of any like minion she has. So all of a sudden she just got 3 of these, usually a velociraptor running around. Or she has a cockroach skill that makes it so if she dies, she gets just like a very nice second chance at life, like a cockroach. But for me, it's a big like, okay, extra safety for the cat character. Always very important to me. These are the ones that also feel a lot like Harry Potter, but I almost can't even say anything because it all feels spoilery. But the world is so big and there's so much like, it feels like there's a lot of history. It feels very real. A lot like the Harry Potter world did of like, you want to, what happened in the Marauders year and all of that, that just like other dungeon crawls, other characters. It's a whole galaxy. There's so much going on. And you can tell that there's like a really passionate fandom around it, which is also a lot of fun. Like this little Carl, Donut, and Mongo, the Velociraptor miniature, which is great. And yeah, just trust me, plot and character arcs, very, very good. I can say almost nothing. And finally, a few things Dungeon Crawler Carl does better than Harry Potter. A+ pacing. It is the part that has been most impressive to me. Especially as you get deeper into the series, there are very few slow moments. It feels almost impossible of how much happens without it being overwhelming. They're also way funnier, a lot more inclusive. I do wish there was more like queer representation in the books, but like it does feel like every character that any other book just defaults to being a dude seems to end up to be a woman instead, or a female dinosaur, as things may be. Things felt really unpredictable without feeling not earned. So like the plot will go in a direction I did not see coming, but it still makes a lot of sense. It's just really well done. Also really great battle scenes, which is not something I really love reading, but maybe putting it in a video game structure made it more accessible for me. I don't know. Like, and because they're not doing like hit points or anything, you can like the characters maybe see like a health bar or something. It's not like super in the weeds on the like video game details, but there's a lot of things happening and it's usually a lot of fun. To answer Vanessa's character, there's almost no romance in the series, which for me has been a win because it feels like the stakes are kind of too high. Like some secondary characters, one secondary character has like a thing off screen. Like we're not invested in their romance, but they happen to romance. Carl has showed no interest in anybody. Donut's had a crush on a neighborhood cat, but beyond that, like, and it feels very realistic that Carl has the weight of a giant rebellion on his shoulders. Maybe romance one day, but I would even find that hard to believe. And finally, the found family is really, really great because you're not spending so much time with anybody. Like, there's one moment where Carl like is in the dungeon fairly early on with Mongo, the Velociraptor, and Donut the cat, and it's just like, this is my family now. But then later on, that's kind of like expanded, and it feels like he has an extended found family as well, which is kind of nice. And yeah, I don't know. I'm having a really good time. You should too. And see.
I'm almost finished with the first book right now. And one of the things I've been really surprised by, like really caught off guard by, I think, is how good Matt Dinniman is at sneakily putting very strong emotions into this like blood-soaked, goofy video game book. Like he'll be doing all this stuff and then suddenly it's like, but remember how this reminds me of my trauma? No, not right now. And I just hit a character death that genuinely made me feel emotional because he tied it so well to like Carl and how Carl felt about the person, which was the most unexpected thing for me, was the emotional components and how well they're like weaved in.
Yeah. I think they do a great job of also like Carl's trying to grapple with this new trauma of the entire planet and everybody dying, and just like, and you can see him like every time he tries to poke at it, just like, nope, can't, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of emotional depth that definitely grows with the series as well. Carl spends a lot of it being really angry, but not in like a Harry Potter book 5 way where it's just kind of annoying. Like, it feels like, I don't know, you feel the rage he's feeling. That like, because it does have a lot, the books overall have a lot of themes that feel similar to some of the things that society is dealing with. Plus, they're all getting murdered, so Carl's even angrier. Rightfully so.
I'm going to be honest, it's Big Tina that really sold it for me. I was like, yeah, this sounds interesting, and I do trust Kelly's recommendations. Then we got to Big Tina, and that was the moment I was like, I really do.
Princess Donut, amazing.
I'm also very intrigued by Princess Donut. Yeah.
Her emotional arc as a cat, and like they do it, yeah. I like they're describing her a lot in like the first book as a child, and like, cause she really is just like gained sentience, because she is like a fully functional character in the dungeon, but like she's gonna like also be processing some of her trauma, and they handle it really nicely.
Can you hear my cat providing commentary?
He's like, I know trauma.
Yes.
I have been locked out of the office. I too am traumatized. My work video calls have like some background noise reduction, and so I'm like used to him making those sounds and not having it like show up on calls. And then I get on here and I'm like, oh wait.
It's part of the experience for us.
Yes.
Oh, I could go next.
Oh,
But
Kyra volunteered. Kyra volunteered.
Kyra volunteered. Go Kyra.
Okay. Now I get to figure out how screen share works. We all get to figure out how screen share works tonight.
Yes. While you pull that up, Nicole said the lit RPG aspect was the biggest reason I delayed reading Dungeon Crawler Carl, but Kelly recommended it, and I'm so happy I gave it a try. I'm on chapter 14 of book 1. The audiobook is stellar. I thought it was multiple people narrating. It took me a long time to realize it's just the one guy.
And that one guy does own a production company where they've also done like an immersive version of book 1. I think they're going to continue with the series where then like he only does Carl and Donut and the AI, I think. And then they have a full cast and the more like sound effects and stuff. So this is already feeling like a very rereadable series because there's so many different versions of it. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
Okay. Welcome. I'm going to be talking about graphic novels today. So I'm just going to give kind of a smattering of recommendations. And I really like graphic novels. It's something that I've kind of like casually liked for a while. I think for me, it's something that like if I'm feeling really burnt out on reading or just like having trouble really like getting into a particular genre or something, I like to kind of shake it up with graphic novels because a lot of times it's like still reading, it's still storytelling, but like the visual element really gives like something new to it that like helps freshen the experience up. So here's a few of my favorites. Maybe. Okay. Trying to figure out how to switch to the next slide. So my first recommendation is Family Style. So this one is actually autobiographical. I had a professor once, professor talk about like how it's a little bit of an oxymoron to have like nonfiction graphic novels, since novels are by definition fictional, but this is a nonfiction novel that's autobiographical. The author, as a child, immigrates to the U.S. from Vietnam as a refugee. And one of the things, it's like just a very like well done story that kind of has snapshots from throughout his life as a refugee coming to America. But one of the things I really like about it is that it's themed around food. So each chapter kind of has like a core dish that like is associated with like the memory of that period of his life. So this was a very excellent read. My next recommendation is Championess. So this is, I'm actually friends with the authors of this one. Megan's
Sorry, I read the last one.
Yeah. So this is based on the true story of this boxer named Elizabeth Wilkerson, I think. I should put that on the slide. So it is based on a true history. It's about women boxing in 18th century London. She's trying to provide for her family, overcome like her childhood boxing rival, et cetera, et cetera. There's a trainer romance, but also not in a creepy way. I'll just throw that out there. And then, as I mentioned, women, and I could not emphasize this enough, boxing. Highly recommend. And also just like very good storytelling. I love the art in this one. So it's a recommendation. Next, Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. This one's a little bit more serious. The first two that I recommended, the first one I recommended had quite a few serious moments as well, but had maybe a little bit more humor. I feel like this, based on what I put on the slide, other than Sapphic Rep, is maybe not going to sound like a great pitch for this book. But yeah, so this is a little bit more serious, like contemporary YA graphic novel that's got Sapphic Rep. And it kind of examines an unhealthy romantic relationship. So kind of like the title says, like the main character's girlfriend keeps breaking up with her. And then like getting back together, breaking up, getting back together. And this is like very much one that I wish I'd had this book, or like books like this that kind of examined that kind of relationship, like when I was a teenager. And also now, like, I don't know that you're ever too old to learn how to avoid unhealthy relationships. But I think especially like for a YA audience, this is like a much needed, like we need so many more books like this. This is one I read fairly recently called I Was Their American Dream. This one is also autobiographical and documents the author's experience growing up as the child of a Filipino immigrant and an Egyptian immigrant. Her father, who's Egyptian, does move back to Egypt during her childhood. And so there's also like talks about her traveling to see him there. Just like a very interesting like life story. Like that's kind of a unique, like not a lot of people necessarily have like that kind of combination of heritage. She also just like has really great sense of humor throughout the book. Like it was very fun to read. Just like she's very funny, and like a lot of her experiences growing up, she presents in a way that's like really funny, but also like just very interesting because she does kind of have this interesting life experience. Okay, this one is a little sparse because I'm actually still reading this one, but I am in the process of reading Lunar New Year Love Story, which so far is like very cute and very funny. There's like kind of this little magical element to it where Valentina, the protagonist, everyone in her family is cursed and they find love, and then it like slips away from them. And she's made a deal with her creepy imaginary friend Saint Valentine, who she's named after, to like either find love within the year or like give up love forever, basically. This is also kind of a fun one because I actually bought this while we were on our little Houston trip, the Word Nerds, in one of the bookstores that we visited. And I'm just now getting to read it, but I did buy this on a Word Nerds bookstore outing. I've also read a couple other graphic novels by Jean Lewin Yang, and like they're all phenomenal. So I have pretty high hopes going into this one. And I believe that is the end of my slideshow. So graphic novel recommendations.
saving some of these in my Fable.
Yeah, I've been taking notes.
Yeah.
Share screen, window, share. Haha. Nicole said, say less. I'm checking my library for the Lunar New Year book right now. And Crazy Foxy also said, looks like Seth MacFarlane is developing Dungeon Crawler Carl for TV.
I don't know how I feel about that because, like, it's a big series.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's
there
actually
may
TV
be 10
series, not
books.
film. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't, like, there's no way anything will stick around that. Like, I'd love it. It'd be great. But also, the books aren't done yet. So that doesn't tend to go. So far, Matt Denman's
He writes pretty fast, though,
Yeah.
right? Like, how long have these books been coming out, even?
And he's, like, live writing them on Patreon and making a lot of money from it, which I think encourages him to
Wow.
continue. But he's making, like, $24,000 a month on Patreon, I think. He's doing really well.
It's got the right ingredients for a TV series that could keep going for a lot of years, then, if it's that popular.
Yeah. Some of the things I feel like the special effects budget would need to be a lot.
It would need to be pretty high. Or, like, Spy Kids level.
Yeah, just lean into
Conversely.
the low budget.
Listen, I want to bring back TV with bad special effects so
Yes.
badly.
Eventually, one of the characters is able to shift herself to be the front of a train while also still being a person.
Listen, Sky High had the girl who could turn into a guinea pig,
And they pulled it off.
and they pulled it off.
Okay, but also, like, Big Tina needs to be,
Yeah.
like, justice for Big Tina. Like, I don't want, like, Barney. Like, I want a dinosaur. I'll take what I can get, but
Yeah. Yeah, Nicole said it makes me so happy to hear people are paying him $24,000 a month while he's writing. That's the dream.
yeah. And, like, if he changes anything, he just does, like, notes of, like, these things have been changed from the past. You don't get to read the new chapter, but I changed my mind. So
That is
carry on.
So cool. All right.
I fear I
It's
would be
Megan
a
Good time.
George R. Martin in that situation. The pressure would just overwhelm me.
I feel like he's written so many, and people think he's only going to do what, like 8 to 10?
8 to 10, yeah.
Oh.
It sounds like he's not even sure. The one I'm reading now feels like a
Oh.
finale. I don't know where it goes from here. So
Huh. Are there more out after the one you've read?
no,
Or are you
I'm
then
on the,
caught up?
the most recent. And yeah, so I know there is
Okay.
more because he is writing them, but like
Yeah.
Mega Media time.
Interesting. Mega Media time. Welcome, folks. Today's agenda. You're trapped. You can't go anywhere. So now I will talk about plant books. Kelly's gone.
Kelly's just like-
Oh. So there are reasons plant books are great. They are typically written more engagingly than the average like nonfiction that's trying to teach you some information. People writing books about plants love to think about the human condition and how it relates. I think overall they make you more observant when you go out and about. You kind of immediately, even if you've just read a few chapters, you start noticing like, oh, here's that thing. Oh, here's that. Which can help when you're writing settings. For me, I'm a very severe underwriter, and setting gets hit the hardest by this. But since I've started reading more books about plants and the earth generally, I feel much better equipped. Like I'm thinking about plants and the earth more. So it is naturally beefing up my settings a bit. And lastly, plant books are great because they tend to encourage like realistic optimism. There are so many books about why the world is so messed up, and those are like correct too. But the thing I love so much when reading books about the planet are that like environmentalists, at least all the ones I've been reading so far, tend to feel like, well, yeah, things are maybe for some things worse than they have been, but there's no reason it has to stay that way. Or like, look at these like tiny things that people are doing that are making a big impact in the environment. And it's just something that has felt very needed lately. And yeah, they just make me feel good. So, featured author Robin Wall Kimmerer. I think she's the author to read if you're looking to get started reading books, specifically nonfiction books about the environment, the earth. My favorite is Gathering Moss, and I think it will be my favorite no matter how many books she puts out. I love it. It made me sob about a moss wall. Not because I was particularly fragile when I was reading it, but because she's that good of a storyteller and like that good at making you care about it. So that's my personal favorite. I think if you're kind of skeptical and you want to like ease your way in, The Serviceberry is a great place to start. It's a much shorter book. It talks about this idea of reciprocity in nature, which is a theme in all of her books. This idea of like we take things from the earth, so we need to give things back to the earth. So if you're kind of not sure and you don't want to do a huge time commitment, The Serviceberry. Gathering Moss is my favorite. I loved Braiding Sweetgrass as well. It's a much bigger book. So if you're wanting to like really get the full Robin Wall Kimmerer experience, go for Braiding Sweetgrass. Also recommend, this is the one I read most recently, The Light Eaters by Zoe Schlanger. This one really challenges the way you think about plants in your like general area. It talks a lot about humanity's resistance to call something plant intelligence because it makes us uncomfortable to think that plants might be doing things in similar ways that humans do things, or that the only way we could describe the things plants are doing are in ways that feel very human, even though they aren't. So yeah, it was really fascinating and really like challenged the way I think about plants. So if you're like, absolutely not, I'm not going to read a nonfiction, but you might read something that's a little like realistic, I recommend Poems About Trees from the Everyman's Library Pocket Poets. It's just a bunch of poems about trees from all across time. It's my second favorite of the Everyman's Library Pocket Poets books. And it's really fantastic, and it's maybe not as big of a commitment as a whole nonfiction like study on something. You can just read a few poems here and there. I love like starting my day with a couple. But if you look at that and you say, still too nonfiction, I do have some novels with cool plant action in them as my final wrap up. So obviously Erin's book, The After Dark, obviously spooky old growth forests. All of these are horror because almost all that I read right now is horror. So drop your Rex if you have other books that also have cool plant action. Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Fantastic. I still think about it all the time. Also, She's a Haunting by Trang Thanh Tran. Super good. Like hydrangeas being freaky. And the whole house is just like surrounded by greenery. Very, very well written. And lastly, The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. It's like a spooky, almost like cottage gore almost. Like it's out in a summer camp. It's horrific. It did something with a beehive that I can't unsee in my head. So I love all of them. Thank you for letting me ramble at you for 5 to 6 minutes about plant books. Please read them.
Megan loved Mexican Gothic so much that I read it And it's about
Kyra hates
I
mushrooms.
hate mushrooms. It was a very good book, though. See, and in
The
some
thing is-
ways, it was like I already understood the horrors of mushrooms. So I was it's just like, yeah, those mushrooms are messed up. They all are.
Mushrooms, especially. I've got a book that I'm going to be reading next that's all about mushrooms. What's it called? Because they really make you feel like there's a bridge between humans and plants. The things that they are doing. Let's see if I can pull it
It's
up.
part of the problem with them.
Yeah.
Freak me out, man.
Before you even got to the novels slide, my brain was already thinking about like fiction with plants. And yeah, Mexican Gothic was my first thought. I also thought of This Poison Heart by Kaylin Barron. The main character has like plant magic.
Okay. The mushroom one I'm reading next is In Search of Mycotopia, Citizen Science, Fungi Fanatics, and the Untapped Potential of Mushrooms. Yeah. Someone said, Crazy Foxy said, other than A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, I've never read from this genre. I didn't even know it was a genre. I didn't either, but once you find one, your algorithms start recommending all of them to you, and they're all great.
Okay.
It's Emma's turn.
Yes. While I'm pulling this up, I just want to say that, oh gosh, 1 second. I have to give Google Chrome access to my screen. It's not in my PowerPoint because I'm currently reading it, but I am right now reading something from our last PowerPoint night recommendations. And that's one of Kyra's recommendations. I'm reading How the Word is Passed. Or Was Passed. It's really good.
It's so good. It's so good.
And it covers multiple places in Louisiana, and my husband's from Louisiana, so it's been really interesting to read about that. Oh my gosh. This is not...
Yay. Nicole checked out The Serviceberry and The Light Eaters, which hits on a story I just had recently. Mexican Gothic also still lives rent-free in my head.
Okay. There we go. All right. So if you aren't aware, I haven't been here for a few months because I've been on maternity leave, not just from the Word Nerds, but also from my job since Christmas Eve, essentially, which means I've had a lot of time to consume media while just sitting around holding a baby all day. So I'm going to do rapid fire recommendations of different types of media that I have been enjoying. There we go. Okay, so first we're doing books. A top 3 books. Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett, A Well-Trained Wife by Tia Levings, and One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. And I'll go into more detail of those. If you, for some reason, are not familiar with Emily Wilde yet, which I would think is wild, pun intended, because it's very popular now. But this is a like cozy, light academia fantasy trilogy. This is the last book that just came out in February. And the books, the whole conceit of the books is that they're the field journals of a dryadology professor. So she goes out and studies fae. This is like an alternate historical fantasy, where like everyone just knows that fairies exist. And there's whole fields of science dedicated to studying them. Very fun, nice romance in it that's closed door. So if that's something that you prefer, it's not like hardcore romantasy, but kind of like a light romantasy, and very enjoyable. I think maybe all of us here have read it. I don't know, Kyra, have you read them?
I've only read one.
I've only read the first one, but like I have the next 2 sitting on my shelf.
Very good. They're excellent. And the audiobooks, like cannot recommend the audiobooks enough. They
really
are so excellent. I love the narrators. But also the like books themselves are really fun too, I will say. I read the third one as an ebook, and it was cool because you can like click on the footnotes and they pop up like you're reading like a nonfiction text. So that was fun. Next book is some nonfiction, A Well-Trained Wife by Tia Levings. This is a memoir. Tia didn't really grow up in fundamentalism, but kind of like found herself in like fundamentalist cult Christianity as an adult, as part of an abusive marriage she was in. And it's her whole memoir of kind of like how her life experiences led her into fundamentalism and then out of fundamentalism and out of her abusive marriage. I found it very fascinating as someone who grew up in a high control religion, to read someone else's experiences, especially someone who, like, she didn't grow up in a high control religion, but still kind of like found herself in it later in life. So yeah, very, very interesting memoir. I listened to the audiobook for this one as well, I think, and I really liked it. Definitely some parts of it that are very heartbreaking, but by the end, it's like a very hopeful story. Next, One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This is another popular one. This is a fantasy duology. It also has some kind of like, it has more romance, I'd say, maybe than Emily Wilde, but it's still not particularly explicit. And it's about a girl who hears a monster in her head as part of this like magical curse in her land, and she joins a group who's trying to fight against the king to get rid of this curse and get rid of the like illness that causes magic like hers. It's a great duology. This is the first book, One Dark Window. I enjoyed both of them. I think I also did the audiobooks for this one, but I don't recommend the audiobooks so much just because the narrator pronounces some words in ways that bothered me. She mispronounces hearth as hearth, and I will never be able to get over it. And the book, or the word comes up multiple times in the first book too, so it's really distracting, but still a really good book. I really liked the second book because of events of the first book. The second book kind of focuses more on some other characters, and I thought that was really cool to get to kind of see the world from other characters' points of view and not just the main character. So those are books. Next, TV shows. This is probably the top 3 TV shows. I did, my qualification for these is I only chose shows that it was their first season. Not so, you know, like I didn't include Severance. What's the point in talking about Severance? Everyone knows Severance was great. But yeah, so shows that were in their first season. So first up we have, Running Point on Netflix, and this stars Kate Hudson, as you can see. And as the bullet points say, yeah, it's not hers, it's hers. Maybe this is a regional thing. I don't know. You said it's not hers. I've never heard someone pronounce it that way. And I came across multiple comments of people complaining about it. That's very interesting. I want to know more people's take on how they pronounce it. But anyway, as the bullet points say in this, Brenda Song is also in Running Point, which was very cool to see her in something. So this is a comedy. It is about basketball in the way that Ted Lasso is about soccer. You don't have to really understand basketball at all or enjoy basketball to enjoy this show. Kate Hudson is the only daughter of the family, and she's always been kind of underestimated and not allowed to do much in the family basketball business. They own a basketball team, but circumstances find her taking over the business and running it as the president, and she finally gets to prove herself. And it's got dysfunctional sibling relationships. So if that's your jam, like it is my jam, you should definitely take a look at this one. It was very fun. I enjoyed it. I think I watched it in like one day. Next is Paradise, which is on Hulu. This is all U.S. streaming services. I can't guarantee they're the same services in other countries. This is kind of a mystery thriller about the head of the Secret Service. The president is killed, and he's investigating the president's death. So that's kind of like the high-level synopsis of it. If you're already still watching it and you don't want spoilers, mute your computer for a couple minutes. If you're not sold on it by that synopsis, which I was not, I'm like, political thriller TV series, not really my thing. I will tell you the spoiler that I wish I'd known going into it, which I would have watched it sooner. It's actually a science fiction show. It's actually like a utopian community in a post-apocalyptic scenario. And that is like a twist that's at the end of the first episode. So it is a little bit of a spoiler, but I feel like sometimes it's an essential spoiler because if you're like me, you wouldn't watch it if you didn't know that about it. So I only watched it because I had lots of free time and I saw people talking about it online. And I was like, I got to know why people are talking about this show. And I'm glad I did. It's got James Marsden and Sterling K. Brown in it, which I love both of them. So that was great. And then third show is The Pit, which is probably the most popular of the three of these. It's on Max, the artist formerly known as HBO. And it is a medical drama set in an ER. The entire 15 episode season is one 15-hour shift. So it's kind of like the show 24, if you watched that back in the 2000s, like my family did, where it's actually like kind of real time sort of thing. And it also notably is the med students and interns' first day in the ER. So that makes it extra fun. I will say kind of similar, well, I guess similar to like basketball and political thriller, medical drama is also not something I would normally watch. I think the only medical show I've ever really been into was House. Trying to think if there have been any others I've really loved, but I think it's basically just been House. I guess Scrubs was fun, but that's because it's comedy. But I really enjoyed The Pit. I thought it was really, really well done, and I look forward to seeing more of it in the future. Those were TV shows. Next, we got movies. This is the one I probably have watched the least of or consumed the least of as movies, but I have watched some good ones. So first up is Twisters. The only synopsis you need is tornadoes, baby. That's what it's about. I grew up on the original Twister film. One of my family's favorite quotes of all time is "We've got cows." We quote it all the time. Anytime we see cows, and I was like a little bit cautious about this. I was excited, but also kind of like, what if it's garbage? But I really, really enjoyed it. I felt like it kind of stayed true to the spirit of Twister, but didn't try to copy it or like cash in on nostalgia. They let it be its own movie, which I enjoyed. So it was really fun. And then next up is Conclave. This is a movie about old Catholic men yapping and gossiping for approximately 2 hours. I really enjoyed it. It is very, very slow paced. Pretty much nothing is happening the entire time. They're all just locked inside a building having a conclave. So you have to be okay with that sort of movie. But if you are, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well made. It has lots of big name people that you recognize. And then, which also shout out, I only watched this because Megan's brother is obsessed with it. And he kept posting
so obsessed with it.
Kept about it in his stories, and I was like, fine, I have to watch this movie. And I did actually really like it. So, and then finally, in the category of movies, is another movie that's been up for awards, Anora. This is about a sex worker in Brooklyn who marries the son of a Russian oligarch, and chaos ensues. Mikey Madison was amazing in this. I'm a huge fan now, and I think she very much earned the Best Lead Actress Oscar that she won. I thought it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it more than I expected to. So. And then final category, video games. Granted, have not had a ton of time to play video games, and you'll notice a little bit of a theme of the type of video games I have been able to play while trying to take care of a newborn. They are all games that are not combat heavy. So good news if you're someone who is not into a lot of combat in video games. First up is the newest Legend of Zelda game. If you didn't know, I love Zelda. This is Echoes of Wisdom. It's the first game where you've gotten to play as Zelda, which is very exciting, very fun. And because you're playing as Zelda instead of the warrior Link, it's a lot more puzzle driven and a lot less combat. So I think it's perfect for people who have always wanted to play Zelda but are intimidated by games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom because of fighting monsters. I also think it's just the best top-down Zelda game that they've made. I just thought it was really enjoyable to play. It was really fun to figure out how to use the different objects to accomplish what you needed to accomplish. I loved it. And then next is The Forgotten City. I played this on my PlayStation. It was a free game. It is a mystery time loop sort of game. It was originally created as a Skyrim mod, and then they made it its own game. So it's like very small and indie. It's set in an ancient underground Roman city where you find yourself, and you basically have to solve this mystery of who is going to commit a crime. And every time you mess up, it resets the day, but you keep the knowledge you have, obviously, and get to like replay that day, trying to figure out the solution to the mystery. So I thought it was unique and really interesting and fun to play. It's a really short game. I think without any distractions, I probably could have played the whole thing in like 2 or 3 days. It was really quick, but I thought it was cool, and I would like to play more games like this. Because you're just walking around talking to people and trying to figure out what's going on. And finally, the game I'm actually currently playing, I have not finished this one yet, is Detroit Become Human. Also playing this on the PlayStation. And it is a science fiction game. It's really for people who love like choose your own adventure books. You might like this game as well because it has that sort of vibe. It takes the like some video games, your choices don't affect the outcome of the game, and some they do. And this takes your choices affect the outcome to the extreme. There's huge branching decision trees in the game. You can actually go back and see like how your decisions affected what happened. And so like your decisions can affect whether certain people die or live or what happens throughout the game, which is really cool to experience and also sometimes stressful if you have any decision fatigue. But I'm really liking it. And the whole concept of the game is that it's about androids gaining sentience and free will, and you follow these 3 different android characters and the decisions they make that affect their world. And that is everything. Thank you for listening to me yap about all the things that I've consumed and enjoyed.
Yeah, hey.
I also loved Echoes of Wisdom.
Yes.
I like it because it is like puzzle based, but it's also like you can do a lot of these things. There's like a way you're usually supposed to do it, and you can do it other ways. And you can just do like some like the more echoes you get, the more you can just do like silly things. Like I like to like stack a bunch of water cubes and then put a bed in it and like float to the top of the stack. That's a little self-made elevator, or like take a bigger monster that's kind of slow and put it on top of one of the Roombas, the like death Roombas, and then just
That's amazing.
So very fun. Like definitely ways you can be creative in that one.
Yes.
I'm not done The Pit, but I'm very much enjoying The Pit. And as someone who has watched a lot of medical dramas, like 20 years of Grey's Anatomy, maybe all 15 of ER, which is where Noah Wiley got his start. I'm pretty sure I lasted at least his 11 seasons. So it has been fun for me to see that back. Also a lot of House. It was very weird in The Pit having just like, to an extent, like a more normal medical experience. Like there's not a lot of like medical mysteries. People just like die of very normal things, and the doctors figure it out pretty much right away because there's not. They get it a lot. It's like it's new for us watching them, but so that was like I'm always just waiting for a twist that isn't coming, which has been interesting.
It's like, no, they just have measles.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I think a couple weeks ago, Mr. Roro recommended Mid-Century Modern, the TV show, and I'm like halfway through that now, and it's so nice. It's really fun.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Very much has like Golden Girls vibes.
Yeah.
I do that a lot.
And someone on that staff is ex-Mormon for sure.
They have to be. They get it too right.
Yeah.
I think there's like 2 things that I was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else.
Yeah.
We did a pretty good job of like filling our hour.
Yeah.
We planned it this way, guys.
Yeah. Don't look at the title.
Emma,
we weren't scared at all.
Emma and I both knew we were going to be here more than 5 hours in advance.
I definitely did not make my PowerPoint on my phone today.
Professionals.
Ooh, Nicole asked, where would you put Paradise on a sci-fi scale of like 1 to 10? Like how sci-fi?
I would put it as like a 2 to 3. It's very, very light on the sci-fi. It's more just the setting. It's not the setting.
I want to see more sci-fi overall, but more like nuance in sci-fi. Of like just like different kinds of sci-fi. I'm very excited for Murderbot because that is next month. I don't know.
I'm kind of feeling the itch to write a sci-fi, which like I haven't ever written one of those. I was like, it sounds kind of fun.
Also, fun thing I did not mention about Paradise, the town in the show, they used the same set as Gilmore Girls.
Oh, okay. That is sold to me.
There are moments where you know that you're like, oh yeah.
Crazy Foxy recommended the video game No Man's Sky if you like sci-fi video games that don't have as much combat. Nicole said, I'm upset One Dark Window came out in 2022 and 95 people have it on hold at my library. Backlist books aren't supposed to have 100 people waiting to borrow them.
I was surprised to hear your description of that one because like I've heard good things wanting to read it for a while. I did feel like the impression I had gotten was it was more aggressively romanced than the way you described it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's another romantasy book I read that I thought was going to be a lot more romance based on how the way people talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it has a strong romance element, but.
And maybe some of it's just like the marketing of romantasy right now.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was 22 is when that book came out.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't even realize 2022 was that long ago. But it was.
Is it not still 2022?
Wow. We're getting pretty close to 9 already.
And Megan wants to go watch The Last
and
of Us.
I have to go. So apologies for not getting to our panic, add them to the chat at the last minute word sprints. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. If you have any recs, definitely drop them in the chat. If you're watching this after the fact and you have any recommendations, please put them in the comments. Yeah,
and if you want word sprints, we have great news for you.
Next week is a write-in. Nothing to distract from it. So yeah, we'll be back next week with a write-in. We'll have 3 nice big word sprints.
If at any point anyone reads Dungeon Crawler Carl, please feel free to message me on Discord with all of your thoughts and feelings. This is something I actively need in my life right now.
Yes. Oh, and in 2 weeks, we're going to be breaking down The September House and why we think it was so well liked as a novel by all of us. You don't have to have read it. I think there will be value in it either way. But if you did want to have it read before we do that chat, you've got 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if you were never going to read it anyway, show up anyway.
Come anyway. Yeah. But we will spoil it. So definitely read it if you wanted to have it read. On the horror scale, how bad is September House?
Such a bad judge of this.
Yeah. It's a horror for sure. It's not super gruesome, like bloody.
Yeah. I didn't find it that scary. Like the tone of it is so different.
Yeah.
Because it has a little bit of a humorous tone to it. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some parts of the audiobook that did unsettle me, just like wordplay wise, but
yeah, I'd say it's more unsettling than anything else.
Yeah. All right. Ooh, Fable's got eco horror Rex. Thank you. Oh, I did love Wilder Girls. Anyway, I could talk about this forever. We'll be back next week with a write-in, and we can chat more then. And hope you all have a great week.